Okay, happy to be here. This is Cale Teeter from Microsoft. I've been working in blockchain for 6+ years now, primarily with Microsoft. Shortly after Ethereum launched in 2015, early 2016 is when we started working in this space as Microsoft. Uh, Interested in the enterprise use cases around where blockchain and blockchain technology, decentralized apps could play a part in the future for applications all up. And so we went on a journey, for quite some years now, working with a lot of partners, such as those interested here today, like Provide and Consensus, and all the usual suspects around the enterprise space here. And we built some first-party products along the way. We've also built a lot with our partners to enable them to build their platforms, which is kind of like what our main goal is as a cloud provider and a technology provider is how can we enable the Legos or the building blocks that make building this technology easier? Most relevant to what we're talking about here today with Baseline and with Provide has been a lot of work with Provide that work with Kyle and team on how to enable some of the features in the Baseline stack to start allow people to use those much easier, right? So if we think about building an application, Provide has done an amazing job. If you go up to their documentation site, and we've worked closely with them, on the Azure pieces of that. But basically, like walking people through, like here's the quick start to like start getting running really fast, right, and get these things running. Start building apps on top of there. Start showing it to like C-level executives and others at your company, so they can see it's real, right? So we can build things really fast and rev those, and those wouldn't be considered production systems, but it's an automated build. And the interesting piece and the piece that's kind of important there is it's really easy to build an emulator or something like that, but then taking it to production's a much bigger story, right? I think what Provide and working with these folks has been around the same model that we've kind of always worked on over the years of allow people to build something that's very close, like in configuration and how it's set up, as to what it will be in production. And then we use like the dev stuff while we're in dev mode, right? So we use emulators, we use, fake key stores, things like that to basically make these things rev really fast so we can see everything functionally work. And then as we move up through the stages of like, a staging and a UAT environment up to production, then we basically are plugging in new configuration elements. This way we make sure that our code's not having to be massaged as it goes through these different layers. And it's really just configuration that's changing to make it production hardened ready. So that's one of the key goals, and I'm super excited because of working with Kyle, how we were able to do that with the Provide stack. I think one of the biggest pieces we've worked on together so far has been the Vault. So for those who understand in the Provide stack what Vault is, really high level, it's a key store that allows you to basically do your assigning of your transactions. And as you can imagine, that's a very important piece of the infrastructure. In traditional applications, we had a much more open system for like identities in that we used JWTs and other things in those contexts to basically authenticate the user and authorize them. But in this case, we're taking it a step further, right? Because we want to do digital signatures. And in order to do digital signatures, we need to link some sort of key pair to you, your identity. So both the ident piece of Provide and the Vault piece are key to that, to making the pieces work on Azure really well. And it's not just about making Azure work well; it's what our customers are using, right? So the enterprise customers who are already using Azure AD and things like that and pieces in Azure, now this is right at home, right? So they can plug an existing Azure Key Vault with their identity system that they already use today, which makes that much smoother of a process for them to do, much less scary because they understand those bits. They've already got those deployed. So I think that's one piece I would, as a call to action for folks who haven't looked at this. If you're firing up the Provide stack, take a look at their Vault implementation. I can put some links out here, but basically there's a really simple configuration for that. And we've even gone beyond just the normal, because normal would be, hey, we have an app ID and a static set of keys, essentially, that are authorizing this thing to talk to Azure Key Vault. But we've taken that a step further and used even our latest features with managed identities. And what that means, like for those who might not know what managed identities are, is basically, we changed the password, so the password's not known by anyone. It's like an app-to-app password, and it basically rotates automatically. So this way, you don't get stuck by those things. If someone ever got a hold of those credentials, they can compromise your app. And it's also like, nobody knows what the password is, so it's a much more secure environment as opposed to hard-coded credentials that potentially could leak to a repo or otherwise. Um, Old way still works. I think even we have support for that in the Vault stuff, but the new way of using these managed identities is a much more smoother process from a security perspective. I think beyond that, the other things we've been working on in the baseline area and Provide's been a big part of that is around D365 or Dynamics. We've been exploring that for some time now, and Kyle and folks have done a lot of work, even with some customers in that space, and trying to make those links back to D365 or Dynamics. And really, what that's about is things like supply chain management, CRM, and the different modules. I think finance and operations are the big ones targeting initially in Dynamics, but basically being able to have baselined elements of that process be part of this PaaS service or the SaaS service really of D365. So it's super interesting. I think we're still a little bit early stages there. Meaning like everything's functional, works pretty well. We want to see how we can evolve that. And what I mean by that is like, how can we make that like single click or much more easy for people to say, hey, I have this thing running, an application running in Dynamics. How can I baseline some pieces of that infrastructure with my partners? And so this is the goal. I think we're well within that goal. We're working on that actively with Provide, and I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be a game changer, because it gives people a way to use this system much more easily than, it was the same problem we had with blockchain, just standard blockchain applications. People are, I need blockchain, and when they get blockchain, it was like, that's only a piece of that solution that you're doing, it's not the entire application. Sure, you could say some things in the NFT space or whatnot. Those applications are kind of standalone and can do their thing. But when we're talking about, a B2B system, 30 plus years of supply chain or finance operations, those don't just like shift into a new application instantly, right? And so usually it comes as a part of, a migration process, right? Of pulling pieces out that are important that can show value when in this new paradigm of baseline Ethereum. And so basically, that's where we're on that journey right now. It's making that available for our customers, and then as that grows, I think it will just get easier, right? That's what's happened with the blockchain space. It used to be really hard to stand up a node and create an application. Now you can do that relatively easily. We have a lot of providers out there who are plugging this stuff in, and I think Provide's positioned well for being one of those providers along that way. And as Azure and Microsoft, we really just want to support that effort. So I'm always open for anybody who's listening and at EthAtlanta. If there's anything, from an ISV perspective or feedback on what Lego building blocks we could add better to make that infrastructure work better, smoother, easier, more secure, we're all ears, right? So we're trying our best for what we know and based on the use cases we know, but always open to feedback. So I think one call I would have out here to folks who are listening is, give us feedback. Like I'm active on GitHub, active with Provide in the baseline community. We're very easily accessed if you need to get a hold of us, and basically just jump in there and give us some feedback on what we should be doing as part of our low code deployments or part of the D365 stuff, different modules that people could use. Even the Provide stuff, if we can, we work actively with these guys, but if there's customers using that who say, hey, this is kind of a stumbling block or it's hard for me to use this, love to hear those, right? So we can unblock them. So that's really kind of what I wanted to bring forward here today. It's been great working with the community with Baseline all up. I'm so proud of like how fast it's gone. I mean, to some people, maybe it's taken some time, but it seems like it has happened really quickly. And, Provide's been a key part of that, right? And I'm excited about the future there, about what's going on in Baseline. And again, just want to be part of that from a dev tools perspective, infrastructure, please ping me. Let me know what you guys want to do. And that's all.
Great.
Thanks
Are you
for
able to hear me
listening.
now, Cale? Still can't.